Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the YouTube channel as well as to the Facebook page. It's been a while since I had any meaningful content to post, but I've been just so busy with real work and more continuing boat issues since my fishing season ended in early November. But figured now with some downtime here in December, I'm getting ready for all my winter activities and articles and more media work to do. I felt right now this week, if I can get this published within the next day or two, it'll be a good start here and I'll be a little bit more motivated to actually get some fishing work done for once. But as many of you guys know, at the end of every year and even at the start of the year, I like to showcase some of my favorite rods by St. Croix rods, rods that get the job done for me on any type of fishing tactic, whether I'm fishing largemouth, smallmouths, multi-species, or other types of fish too. But behind me, I have some of the winners from the 2023 fishing season that I would like to showcase, talk about, illustrate, highlight what some of their better capabilities are and how they got the job done for me on my fish. So stay tuned. I think this will be a really good one for the next 10 to 20 minutes. I've got 3 casting rods and 3 spinning rods that we're going to talk about. The very first one to introduce to you here today is a rod that I've actually had difficulty in getting, but this year, first year using it, I really enjoyed it, and therefore I want to talk about it. This here is the Legend X bait casting rod. The model is XLC 68 MHF, so it's a 6'8" medium heavy fast. What I use it for is for all of my jerkbait fishing. A lot of the rods that you'll see made by St. Croix, they have a medium extra fast action in lengths of 6'8" or 6'10". Me personally, the way I grew up, my upbringing with fishing and this methodology, I always wanted to have a shorter, but somewhat longer of a rod with the rating of a medium heavy fast action. Only reason being, I'm a bigger guy, I'm a stronger guy, and on top of that, a lot of the suspended jerkbaits that I fish, they do have a lot of torque and diving depth. So you're using heavier baits, 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce. You're going to want a heavier rod. You're not going to want that medium extra fast action that is more prototypical for your suspended jerkbait fishing. So with that being said, the medium heavy fast is what I use, the 6'8" length. Some good things about this rod that I do want to talk about, as you are well aware, the finish and the resins on the Legend X is top notch. This delivers that lightweight feel, all that sensitivity as well. The guide's also very sensitive, but the only issue that I do have with the Legend X rods in both casting and spinning, they are a little flimsy. I don't know if it's that silicon nitride material and construction of theirs, but it is super important to be sure to keep these well protected in your boat, in your locker. Make sure no one ever steps on them. And then I use the rod glove for all of my transport and protection needs. So make sure that these do not get tangled into your rod socks and rod gloves, because if you do, they will bend easily. But what's nice about these, even in the event that they do get smashed, you can always pull the guide out and realign it. So that's the good thing about it. But yeah, the cure and finish, very good and sharp. Definitely my favorite. The resin is awesome, awesome coloration. Obviously, a rod to me, I can care less on how pretty it is. I mainly want to focus on the functionality of it, and my opener lines about this rod totally illustrates what I use this for. So for all my suspended jerkbait fishing, what I always recommend, guys, with the jerkbaits, obviously you've got treble hooks involved. So what I always use are these rod glove, the bait glove here. This thing's gotten a lot of use over the years. Obviously, with the treble hooks, you do want to protect the finish of the rod. and the bait glove here, highly recommend it for all of your transport and storage needs, and it will help protect the finish so that these treble hooks don't scratch the finish on the rod. So yeah, obviously a jerkbait rod, very touchy-feely. I'm not a fan of the 6/8 medium extra fast actions. So instead, I do like that medium heavy fast, and I can work these bigger baits much better with more effectiveness. I can get them to cut better. I can cover a greater diving depth, and the resistance is far less with this medium heavy fast rated rod rather than if I was using the medium extra fast. So yeah, the only thing this rod really does not do well, which I'm not a fan of right now, is for weightless fluke fishing. And for that, I would recommend, if you do fish the fluke, to go to that medium extra fast rated power. The next two rods I've been a major fan of ever since their inception and creation from a year and a half ago. They're both behind me. They're both basically brothers. One's a 7'3", the other's a 7'5". So the two that we're going to talk about next are the Legend Tournament 7'3" Power Fish and the Legend Tournament Warhorse. So here are the differences between the two rods. The first one that I want to talk about is the 7'3" Power Finesse. This one is the LBTC 7'3" MHF. So this one is a very good multi-purpose rig and setup. I use this for everything from smallmouths to largemouths. It handles casting applications very well. For largemouth, if you're a fan of Tokyo rigging, lightweight flipping, you want to run a creature bait on a Texas rig through some grass lines or through some pockets and openings. You want to work a swim jig through the shallows in early season, this rod can do it all. And for my smallmouth fishing, where it really works awesomely is with casting paddle tails as well as bottom bouncers. So the rod here, I still have it rigged up with the stuff I was using in October and then into early November. This is a Freedom Tackle football head, a swinging football head with a Kitech Swing Impact Fat 3.8. But, you know, for stuff like that, for smallmouth, you want to run a jig along the bottom. This also does well with football jigs too. But casting applications, rigging, jigging, does everything for you. I have no complaints about this rod. It's awesome. I do have a couple notes just so I can reference because there's certainly a lot that we can talk about here. But the reel that I do have on it is brand new from 2023. This is the 7GF Series Baitcaster. This is currently the only baitcaster that's offered by the 7 Reels brand. For $120, you get a lot of performance out of this cost-friendly fishing reel. The model that I do have with the specs on right now, it's the 7:3:1 gear ratio. I have it spooled up with 20-pound Cortland master braid. So again, multi-purpose application for casting, handles everything. There's nothing that this cannot do. And one of the coolest features I feel about this 7 reel is very comfortable thumb bar, the EVA grips, the carbon fiber handle. And you know, this is where this reel is very cool. I don't think I've ever seen such a well affordable reel have these types of features with the EVA grips and then that carbon fiber reel handle. It cuts down on weight drastically. And then the very cool thing about this reel, which I've never seen another bass baitcaster do, if we can hear it, you hear that click? That's one of the coolest things and functions about this reel. Let's try hearing it again. Hear that? Yeah. So it's got a clicking drag, and what's really nice about it, you're working a big fish, you hook into something large, that fish is going to run, and you can hear that. That's an indicator that you got something big on too. And obviously with that clicking noise that it produces, it'll give you the option to either increase your drag or decrease it, depending on how you're playing it and what you got hooked up with it. So that's one of the coolest functions and features that I really like about this reel too. But can't beat the price. It doesn't cost an arm and a leg for the reel. I'm definitely going to outfit myself with a lot more 7 products throughout next year, and so far so good. I only started fishing this reel during the October month, so my time with it has been very limited, only to a few weeks of fishing time, but very pleased with it. There's nothing that this reel cannot do, as well as the rod here. This next rod, its bigger brother, has been an all-time favorite of mine ever since it was released about a year and a half ago. This one here is the Legend Tournament Workhorse. So it's the 7'3" medium heavy fast. So it's due to its longer length by 2 inches. It does have a faster action, obviously due to that 2-inch difference. But my favorite application for this guy is slinging a paddle tail through open water, as well as for casting distance and for covering water too. So a lot of the lakes that I fish for smallmouth, very vast, open, expansive water, a lot of flats fishing, a lot of open water fishing too. So where this rod definitely aids me in is casting distance. I have it spooled up with 20-pound Cortland master braid on a 7-3-1 gear ratio reel, and I got to cover water. I have to fish fast, make very long casts, and where this rod greatly aids you with is a lot of the times when you're fishing paddle tails, a lot of hits. If you cast and land right on top of a fish or within a couple feet of where a fish is sitting, you're going to get bit. So from far out, you do want that longer length to aid you in hook sets, being able to corral that fish, to keep pressure on it, and most importantly, that flex on the tip section. It's going to prevent fish from wiggling off, from being lost on that hook set. So shock absorption definitely huge with that light braided line as my main line. The longer length definitely is something that you're going to want for increased casting distances, hook sets from afar, and if you're a smallmouth angler, this is going to be the rod that you should want to consider. So I have quite a few more Legend Tournament bass bait casting rods that I can certainly talk about at any time of the year. The coolest thing about these rods, you want a really good, high-quality, high-end rod. This is going to be the one for you. It's got that perfect price point where, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to buy. Comes with a very nice 15-year warranty. The finish is outstanding on these rods, too. The construction, the cosmetics, absolutely, absolutely beautiful and awesome. Not a single complaint about this. The guides are awesome, strong, durable. They're not flimsy. They're not going to break on you. The reel seat, very comfortable. I love the durable twist knob here on top of the reel seat. I don't have anything further to say about these rods. That's how well they treat me. So here they are, both models, both big and little brother right here. The 7.3 medium extra fast, and then the 7.3 medium, or 7.5 medium heavy fast. Check them out. So let's start out with the shortest rod that I have for today's show and tell. This one is the Legend Tournament Versatile. This one came about during the summer of 2022, and it's a 7'1" medium fast action. What I like about this rod in particular, if you're a huge plastics user, you like to drag a tube jig across the bottom, or if you're a Ned rigger, this might be the rod of choice for you as well. What I like about it, very strong backbone, but an also excellent benefit of this rod, if you can see, is the tip action. A lot of high-end sensitivity on this. The strength is unmatched. A rod like this can easily corral a 20-inch smallmouth. So even though the rod is much smaller and shorter than a lot of the rods that I use, it's far more sensitive, I feel. I have no problem bringing in big fish with this rod. It sticks big fish very well. So applications you might want to consider: Ned rigs, tube jigs, any type of jigging plastic. That would be my pick for this type of rod. But where I've also found very good uses with it is for walleye fishing. I like to use a lot of the same downsized paddle tails. I like to rip jig I like to use jerk minnows, things of that nature, a lot of rip jigging. This rod works very well for that. So the reel that I currently have mounted on this rod is the new 7 GS series spinning reel. This reel will not be available for another month yet to retailers, so January of 2024. I was actually finally lucky to try these and work these out during the fall months. Very pleased with the reel. Solid construction. It'll handle all jigging applications very well. Some of the finer attributes of this reel, I feel, is a very strong bail arm. And then, this is cool. The drag system is strong, so 22 pounds of capacity. It's very loud. It's very loud. You hear that? That's great stuff. And then obviously if you do need to adjust the drag by any means necessary, very ergonomical drag control right there. So reel like this, very smooth. The retail on this is about $140. So this is a reel that, good entry level reel, pretty solid high-end stuff, very comparable to a lot of those older Quantums that I fished with. I do like the construction of it. The line capacity is very good for a size 2500 model. On this I currently have it spooled up with 15-pound Cortland master braid, so I can get about 160 yards worth of line on this spool. No complaints. Great setup and system if you're a fan of Ned rigging, tube jigging. You want to do some walleye fishing with this type of a reel and rod combo, go for it. It'll handle that very well. So reels will finally be available next month on 7reels.com. As many of you guys are aware, the demiki rig caught fire this year once Gussie won his Bassmasters Classic out on the Tennessee River system. Ever since that one, moping, demiki rigging, call it what you want, it's been on fire everywhere across the country. I've been working the demiki rig on our Northwoods lakes for the better part of the last 10 to 15 years. How I started it was walleye fishing, just dropping your bait vertically over the side of the boat, using your electronics, whatever you have, in order to find and detect the bites. You'll see them on the screen, and you're basically hanging a bait horizontally below the boat at whatever depth the fish are holding at, and that's really the name of the game. So no forward-facing sonars are on my boat. I get by working just your regular sonar and side imaging. So my rod of choice for the moping and demiki rigging, I'm glad I found this. Prior to this year, I actually never used this rod to begin with for this type of application. What I've always gone with was the Victory spinning, the 6/8 medium extra fast, so the Victory Tactical. And that rod right there, you know, if you like the shorter length rod, it'll handle the moping game very well. I still fish that rod. Not only for smallmouths, but it's an outstanding walleye rod as well. But my demiki rig rod here is the Legend Tournament Power Finesse. This is a 7'3" medium extra fast. So previously, I had been using this rod for all of my downsized Finesse plastics. If I have to cast such, anything like a Kalin's grub, or say like a 4-inch or 3-inch minnows or 4-inch diesel minnows, this is going to be my rod of choice for that. But where this rod really excelled for me this year was on the moping and demiki rigging. I like the longer length. I love the flex. The flex, I feel, is the most important attribute when you're moping, because a lot of those strikes, they'll nip at the bait. You want something to be able to detect bites easily. This here is the flex, and that is awesome. On a rod like this, it's not going to break. So that's what makes a rod very good and effective if you're moping. You want a flex like this. Otherwise, you're just jerking the minnow out of a fish's mouth when you're setting the hook from it vertically, just like that. So this is the rod here. Love it. This is the Power Finesse. Great moping rod. If you're into casting, Finesse Plastics is the way to go. You want to do some drop shotting, this rod can handle it as well. If you like running the free rig, which I do quite often with this setup, again, that's going to be a thing to do. If you're not going to use it for bass, this is a great walleye rod as well for swim baits, minnows, rip jigging, even live bait fishing for smallmouths and for walleyes as well. This is one of my go-to rods as well. So just absolutely solid setup and system. The only thing I didn't do, because I use this for multi-purpose applications, I always recommend high-vis yellow lines if you're demiki rigging. That'll aid in bite detection, but because I use this also for casting and multi-purpose applications like I just shared with you, I just use the moss or the bronze back brown Cortland master braid. So on this, I've got it spooled up with 15-pound master braid. I had this rigged up as a leftover from late October into November. This is the 5-inch Z-Man jerk shads and smelt. And on the head right here is a 3/8 ounce. Actually, no, this is a 1/4 ounce. Or this is a 1/4 ounce Northwoods slurp head. So that is it right here. But yeah, smallmouths and walleyes of nearly every size have no problem taking down a bait like this. So what I typically run with, early in the season, I start off with the 4-inch jerk minnows, and then this time of year, late in the year, I'm going to up it to the 5-inch model. So this here is the demiki rig setup. And those are the specs. And just like all other Legend Tournament bass rods, the finish on these rods is outstanding. I love the blue resin finish. That's been prototypical on this rod series for the last 15, 20 years, ever since they first came out. I love the foregrip design too. Again, I'm used to holding my rod like this. A lot of people who do enter my boat, they're not used to holding a rod like this by the foregrip. You can hold it like that, which is fine. It's still comfortable to the touch. But if you are a user of the foregrip handle, it's very comfortable. So this rod, very good. Glad I found this combination and finally used it. I do like that longer length, just because I'm a bigger guy. Also, awesome sensitivity and power too. The last rod I want to showcase has been my absolute favorite for smallmouth bass fishing. I am such a diverse, multi-purpose, multi-application type of an angler, in which I favor using rods that are designed for multi-purpose application. So to date, some of the best rods that I've used personally are either the St. Croix Avids or the St. Croix Legend Elites. So the Avid, good rod, good affordability. Anyone's going to afford it. You upgrade yourself to the Legend Elite, you're going to have a rod that you're going to keep for a lifetime. That's how good these rods are. You take care of the rod, it's going to take great care of you, and it's going to be an investment for a very long time. So I'm very happy with the few Legend Elites that I have. They get the job done for me, and this one specific model that I want to talk about here today is the 7'6" medium fast Legend Elite right here. So with that longer rod length, the best application is going to be casting. So I like to fish finesse style paddle tails and swim baits quite often. If I have to search for fish, year-round, early spring when the water temperatures are still very cold, so we're looking at ice out all throughout the pre-spawn period. Midsummer when fish are relocating from shallows to the weed lines, and then later on in summer into fall, a lot of open water fishing, and then deeper structure-oriented fishing in late fall. This is my setup. I fish it year-round. Predominantly, I'm casting paddle tails with it, just like this 4-inch diesel minnow. Rod length, very important, 7'6". You want to make long casts. You want to get awesome hook sets with the braided line without ripping a bait out of a fish's mouth. That's what the longer length is for. Medium action is great. Oftentimes, when I'm fishing these paddle tails, a lot of the fish, they're either going to be at the very tail end of a cast, assuming that my bait lands on top of a fish, or else it'll happen somewhere in mid-retrieve if a fish is really committed to chasing it and if it wants to pound a paddle tail just like this. So when I made my order prior to the fishing year, this was like early last winter, to my knowledge, the rods from years prior, they were the Torzite guides, and this one is Torzite. So apparently at some point this year, St. Croix made the switch to now using a silicon nitrate guide system. Me personally, I have no idea how good that new guide system is, what the silicone nitrate guides are. I have no comment. I don't know. I don't have any feedback on it, unfortunately. But with the rods that I do have, they all have these unbreakable Torzite guides, and this is what makes this rod so special, so strong, so sensitive. In my opinion, these guides are unbreakable, and I'm putting a good 5 to 10 pounds of pressure on that guide, and it's not snapping. So I don't recommend you doing this with any rod, but I've never bent out a guide like this. They're very strong, sensitive. The line control on this rod is superb. Never get any tangles with them either. So yeah, that's the good stuff about this rod. If you're an avid smallmouth angler, you like using multi-purpose applications, you like to cast, throw search baits, this is going to be your setup right here. And the very last fish of the year that this rod hauled in for me, it was a 21-inch smallmouth caught on November 2nd. So awesome rod, handles big fish, caught a load of big walleyes this year and some of my largest largemouths of the year as well. So great multi-species rod, great smallmouth rod. If budget was not a concern, and if you did want a high-end rod, this is going to be the one that I'm going to recommend. And the Legend Elite line, it's so awesome. You know, they're not marketed for any type of specific tactics like the Mojo Bass or Legend Tournament Bass or the Victories are made and meant for. The Legend Elite, multi-species, multi-purpose application. Use your mind and creativity, and you'll find the right type of winner with these rods. So just an outstanding rod. The finish is great, and this is going to be an investment that you'll make for a very, very long time. So this all concludes today's show and tell, my favorite rods from the 2023 fishing season. As you can see from some of the clips that I included in this piece, they definitely got the job done for me. They caught a lot of fish, and they are worth consideration for your smallmouth fishing, depending on how you fish as well. So the way I fish might not be the ways that you fish, but hey, every single rod that I own has multi-purpose applications. What I do might not be the thing that you do, but at least you can learn from a video like this. And if you do have any ideas, questions, comments, or feedback about either of these 6 rods, drop them in the comments section on my Facebook page and on the YouTube channel. I would appreciate it, and that would be so much fun to interact with you guys. So take care now. More videos incoming throughout the winter months. And please be sure to check out the website, northwoodsbass.com. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in.